Hey, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. You?
Good, brilliant. Yeah. So thanks for joining us tonight.
I know what is.
Good. So we'll just talk about your career, basically. From obviously they're all being really young. It'll be
Yeah,
good to hear how you started, and then we'll just work through it,
glad coming off my head in there, isn't it, with the lights.
and then just try and give them as much help as you can, mate.
Yeah,
And
yeah, no worries.
it's a
No
last
worries.
one, so no pressure.
It's the last one, is it? Are you back on the grass? Are you soon?
Back on the grass next week. Yeah. So I think this is
Oh,
about the eighth and ninth one that we've done.
right.
So finishing style.
Oh, good. Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but we'll have a go. We'll have a go. See where it gets us.
Yeah. So I'll start letting them in. Give him a
Yeah,
couple of minutes to settle down, and then we'll just get straight into it.
yeah. No worries.
Okay, cheers, buddy.
How are we all doing?
Good. Thumbs up, everybody, as you're joining in. There's another bald head for you to look at tonight.
Don't worry, we'll be really short, so you can go and watch England games soon.
Yeah.
That'll be more interesting.
Fingers crossed. Okay, go. So we'll get straight into it then. So tonight this is the last Zoom. So thanks. I hope you've enjoyed the series so far. I've tried to cover as many areas as we can. And I think finishing with Andy tonight is nice because obviously Andy's working with the first team and he's had a good playing career himself. So obviously we've worked through all the different areas of goalkeeping. And I think finishing with Andy tonight will be really nice. And also it also covers the base for the Rotherham fans because we've not really covered Rotherham too much during the Zoom. So how are you doing, Andy? Nice for you to join us tonight.
Yeah, no problem, Paul. Happy to be here. I've got a few on the nice smiley faces. Have we got some Rotherham fans? Thumbs up. Yeah, no, yeah. We have. Good. I'm sorry about the glare off my my head from the kitchen light. But we'll scoot past that.
Some of them like to hide. They don't all want to show the face as well. And I think your Fred is joining us at some point as well, so I'm sure he'll have some questions for you.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah. We'll see.
Okay, good. So we'll start then. So, local lad, how did you start off in your goalkeeping as a young lad?
Well, yeah, I'm from Chapeltown, and I started at I thought I started at a young age, but I think boys and girls are starting a lot earlier now. And I remember my first club was actually Wentworth Juniors. So I started at Wentworth when I was 9-year-old. We were playing in the under 11, so we're playing a lot higher age groups, and it were basically just friends, and we were just doing it for fun, and we loved it. And from there, I joined Chapeltown Athletic as well. So my junior experience of football wasn't with academies, wasn't with centre excellences, although I had a few trials, but nothing really came of that. I was always in Sheffield School Boys. However, I was mainly number two. I played number two, so I got games, but not many. So I had a few adversities in my junior career. But I just really enjoyed playing with my friends. I got a few opportunities to join all the sort of like the glamour clubs at the time, which were Young Owls, Junior Blades, and Middlewood. I don't know if they are still the main teams around now, but
yeah, they're still going.
I always felt that as a goalkeeper, we weren't the greatest of teams, but I got a lot of action every single week. I had lots of saves to make, a lot of decision making to make. And I really enjoyed that, and I felt, for me personally, that was a very good grounding. I could have gone to the glamour clubs, but I'm not sure I would have been where I am now, or what I did in my career if I did do that, because I got a lot of action playing for Chapeltown.
Yeah, it's one of the things we talk about with the young keepers as well. It's getting that right balance, isn't it? That playing for the better teams isn't always beneficial as a goalkeeper for your development, because you can be stood there and getting very little to do each week. But then also you don't want to be right down at the other side where you're just getting absolutely peppered every week and it just knocking your confidence. So it's just finding that nice level into it where you are getting enough work.
It is. I totally agree on that. But you say about getting walloped every week. That was Wentworth. That was how it was at Wentworth. Like I said, we were young. Some of us had older brothers. I had a younger brother, but some of us had older brothers. It was the older brothers team. So when you say getting walloped, we were getting walloped 18, 19, 20-0 every game. But it's sort of like I came off the pitch thinking, all right, I've had a lot to do today. And as a really young one, you can look at it two ways. And I actually felt it gave me a bit of like I said, a grounding to that you don't want to be getting beat like that. But like I said, there was no coaching. I didn't have any coaching. So you guys on here are really, really lucky, I think, because back in the day when I was growing up a long time ago, there was never any provisions for goalkeeping coaching unless you were there was Centre of Excellence or the academies as they are today. But it's so I got my practice in games, and hence why I got a lot of practice play for Wentworth in Chapeltown.
You're a couple of years older than me, so we're probably like playing in the same area really. But the only goalkeeper coaching that I got, apart from at the Centre of Excellence, John Bilton did a similar group sessions to what I do now, which that was about. But even when I was getting into the pro game, even as an apprentice, we was lucky then if we had a goalkeeper coach come in once a week. It was more learning off the senior pros at the time rather than getting actually out and out goalkeeper coaching.
Yeah, I agree. I had a few trials at Barnsley, trials at Sheffield United, never at Rotherham, and I always once I signed for Rotherham, I always used to give the academy stick because I could have signed for them years and years ago. But I actually went on a trial at Leeds United. Nothing came of that, and then I got a phone call my mum and dad got a phone call one afternoon asking me if I'd go for a trial at York City. York City were in the fourth division, so League Two at the time, and my parents were fantastic. We had the post office at Grenoside. My dad used to work all hours. My mum used to work all hours, and the parents, you guys, your parents, they'll take you everywhere. And my mum used to take me up every week to York on a Friday afternoon. The traffic was horrendous. Without fail, used to take me there and take me to games on a Sunday. And I really, really respected that. And I had an old guy who was the coach there at the time who used to put little sessions on, and they were fine, but they were nothing specific. There was nothing really there for goalkeepers. But it was just a case of plugging through and coming through. And I signed as an apprentice there, and I signed pro, and I think I had 5 seasons at York. But goalkeeper coaching at that time, there was never a full-time goalkeeper coach like I am now, and that was difficult. I'll go into a little bit more about analysis later on, but it was very, very hard to have an understanding about what you were doing. So, like I said, you guys, if you have any problems on a Saturday or a Sunday game, you can speak to Paul. Definitely ask his advice. Definitely take him up on little tips that you can learn on that. And the biggest thing for anything in life as a youngster is learning, and take every single training session as a learning day, a learning environment, and learn off your peers, like your friends within there. Because it's really, really important, a big part of your development.
So going to York then. So did you move to York at 16 to do your apprenticeship? Did you go into digs?
That was the hardest thing that I probably in my career has ever done. So I went to Ecclesfield School. I finished my last exam on the Friday, and I started pre-season on the following Monday. And moving away, it was very, very difficult. I'm not ashamed to admit that there was tears on a Monday morning when my mum used to drop me off at the Sheffield station. And I talk about a grounding. That was a real eye opener to what life can throw at you. And I'm not ashamed to admit that there was times when I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go back. But like my mum and dad were well. They had all my best interests at heart, and they support me. But they said, "Listen, you've got a great opportunity here," and I stuck by it. And 2 years, as soon as I signed my pro, I moved back to Sheffield. I moved back home, which again was not a great decision. In hindsight, I should have stayed up there, and I should have moved to York permanently, because I think that hindered my development as well. Because
the extra travel.
Football's all about hard work, and I was in a car school, so we shared a car. There was 3 of us, the assistant manager, and a few others that we travelled up with. And I probably lost a lot of gym work. And if I could turn back time, I would definitely turn back time to when I signed pro and stayed at York and spent more time, not more time on the training ground, because you can only spend a week a certain amount of time. However, it's what you do away from the training ground. So the gym, like I said, the gym work, and we only had a very limited gym. I mean, the gyms these days are fantastic, but there was enough equipment there to better yourself. I think that's what I should have done.
One of the sayings that I bore the students is the good keepers do extra, and all the point of the lockdown is that even though it's not ideal not being able to be on the pitch, but we're allowed to do extra, and doing these Zooms is the extra bit of training that probably other goalkeepers haven't been doing, which is what keeps you in front of everybody, isn't it? That little bit extra that somebody else isn't prepared to do.
Absolutely, yeah, and it is like when you get to pro level. You work, obviously, we call it keeper corner. I think that will never change. And we work closely together. Like when I was a player, I worked closely with the other goalkeepers. If I was lucky to have a coach on one particular day, work closely like that. And you, like I say, you have to do that. You have to make the commitment, the full commitment, if you want to go and take your development to the next level.
I think that keeper corner is important as well for the social side of it, in the mental side of the game, that you're in a group with keepers and you all obviously experience, what the position's like, and you can talk to each other openly and deal with the mental side of the game, rather because
No, I say you're fighting for the same shirt.
Yeah.
However, if you haven't got a relationship with the guys that you're training with, then everything can just capitulate, really. And I've seen it with my own eyes. Not at a club that I was at, but at a club that I used to go training to. And it was I have seen that, and it's not nice. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody. So if there's 2 people in the same team, like some of you guys might be, just help each other out. That's what you've got to do, because he or she will be there for you, and you've got to be there for them.
Even down to the service, isn't it? When you're training, that if you're making sure that you're giving each other good service, you're serving the ball how the coach wants you to serve it, you're both getting maximum out of the session. If you don't serve properly when you're doing the serving, you ain't going to get the service when you're doing your sets.
No, you can't expect it back. You can't. Double standards. Like I said, I've seen it done. It did actually happen to me once at Rotherham, and I wasn't very happy with it, and it made my feelings known, and that stopped after that. But yeah, it's important. You're a close knit. We're a different breed, and we are. When you go into the pro game, you have to stick together. You have to stick together as a bunch of goalkeepers because nobody likes us. Nobody likes us. But we yeah.
So the pro game then, how old were you when you made your debut? Did you make your debut at York?
Yes, I did. I was 19, and my career probably could have gone to, but one or two ways. And my debut was against Manchester United in the League Cup with the likes of David Beckham. Probably some guys on here won't know, but the names Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, Eric Cantona, and people like that. Peter Schmeichel, who was a big hero of mine, played in goal. You probably only know Casper. But yeah, that was at 19 to make your debut there. Was fantastic, and you had career's going to go that way. It's going to go that way. Play Man United, go that way. But no, I really enjoyed it for the first couple of years. I put down here about resilience and knockbacks. I actually had a tough time at York, not with the players, not with the staff, but with the supporters. I wasn't liked after a couple of years. They sort of like the supporters there. They didn't like homegrown players, basically.
Right.
They were so lads that came through the academy. We had a fantastic youth setup, fantastic coach, and players that went on and made Premier League appearances and made the club a lot of money. But yet, like I said, they made our life not great. And this is what you have to do. This is talk about mental strength, and
yeah,
these are the things you have to deal with. You usually get stick off of opposition supporters, but it's never nice when you get it off your home supporters.
And I think the game's changed a lot, and like when we was kids, it was drilled, situations like that were drilled into us to try and test us character as young players, weren't they? So we could actually try and deal with situations like that. But for me, I don't know how you can train people to deal with thousands of
No,
fans.
I can't. And you talk about obviously the thing with mental health now. It was very difficult. It was very too difficult, and it knocked me. But like I say about you got to deal with these adversities. And I left York after 5 years and I think I played about 80 games, so not actually that many for the amount of time that I was there, and joined Doncaster Rovers, and that's when I feel I found somewhere that I felt wanted. Fantastic relationship with the supporters there, fantastic relationship with the players, with numerous members of staff, great club. And like I said, I feel that's where my journey started. Although the adversities made me a stronger character, my footballing journey started there, and with a few promotions. And yeah, I think I had eight seasons there before I joined Rotherham.
And probably because you're enjoying your football as well, which is a massive thing, isn't it? That we talk about. You've got to enjoy what you're doing, and if you're enjoying what you're doing, it makes it a lot better, doesn't it?
It does. It'd be interesting on here. How many of you guys actually? What do you prefer? Do you prefer playing games or training? Now, I actually prefer training. I put a lot of pressure on myself. Because I didn't want to let myself. I didn't want to let my family down. And living local and playing for Doncaster and playing for Rotherham, I did not want to let my family down at all. Now, sometimes you as a goalkeeper, you're always going to make mistakes. However, I felt that. So I love training. I love the Monday to Friday. And then I woke up on a Saturday morning. I'm thinking, oh no, don't make a mistake. However, I think the older I got, the more I realised that you've got a big part in that to play. Like I say, you're representing yourself, you're representing your family, you're representing your club. But I always felt that if I trained well through the week, then the Saturdays should take care of itself. And I put down here hard work. There's no getting away from it. To be a professional sports person, you have to put hard work in. You have to do that. And that hard work can be enjoyable as well.
It is, yeah. I mean, I was the same. I love training, and I felt as though, and one of the reasons I love training is because you can set yourselves personal challenges, and you have more control of them challenges in training. Whereas in games, obviously, it's in the power of the gods, isn't it? How the game pans out and whatever, and you can just try your best. But whereas in training, I felt as though I could walk off a training pitch, and 9 times out of 10, I felt as though I'd achieved something. Whereas in games, even though you felt as though you'd achieved something, you were told otherwise sometimes by the manager or the coach. So I mean, same again. I enjoyed training a lot more than playing. So you're playing to your transition with coaching. Then how did that come about?
Well, after I left, just before I left Doncaster, in the last year of my contract at Doncaster, I broke my leg. I broke my leg against Man City in a League Cup game, and I remember laying in the hospital bed, and this was in September, and I was out of contract at the end of the season, and all the worries go through your head. Luckily, the manager came and saw me the next day and gave me a new contract for the following season. So that took all that away. But I started to think about what I wanted to do afterwards. So I thought, once I got myself fit, my main priority was getting myself fit. And then after that, I thought, what do I want to do? And I always wanted to stay in football. Now, I'm not. I don't know what the word is. I'm not cocky to think that I deserve to stay in football. Because there's lots and lots of people out there. I felt privileged of what I did, and obviously going into the coaching side, I feel probably even more privileged because there's even less of us goalkeeper coaches that are around. But during that time, I left. When after I got back fit, I started coaching at Doncaster. So I started taking the youngsters at Doncaster, and I really, really enjoyed it. And that was sort of like, for my coach at the time, he pushed me into that thought process. And what I found as with coaching, from sort of like 11s to it would have been 16s, I felt that actually made me think more about my game, and I saw it from a different point of view. So once I got playing football, I went to Bury for 6 months to get fit, and then I joined Rotherham. And when I joined Rotherham, I started taking my coaching badges. So I did I did my level 2 conversion, and then I started on my B license. So when I actually finished at Rotherham after 6 years, I realised then that could be an opportunity for me to do, and I joined the academy. And I used to take the 14s to 16s, and the scholars used to come down to me as well on an evening down the road here at Shoe, and I'd go with the youth team on a Saturday. So that was sort of like my introduction really to coaching.
Yeah, I like what you said there about how it improved your game, because what I try and do with the older ones in our sessions is I run 2 groups. So I do a 6 to 11, and then I do a 12 to 16. So I try and get the 15 to 16-year-olds to come and help with the little ones. One, it's good to have an extra pair of hands to serve in, but it helps benefit their game, like you said. The little things that you see the little ones doing, it makes you think, doesn't it, that, hang on a minute, I do that, and I can now see that I can overcome it, and you can address your own game by helping others doing it as well, can't you?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, yeah, I totally agree, and I felt that, like say, at that time at Doncaster, that did help me. Uh, but what it also gave me was the little bit of a spur to think that I think I was about 29 at the time, 28 at the time. And I thought, you know, I've still got, as long as my legs are all right, and it was fine. I've still got quite a few years left in me.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity to go to Rotherham came up, I was delighted, absolutely delighted. And like I say, I had 6 years there. Really enjoyed my time there. Really enjoyed.
Good.
Played, and now obviously back as a coach.
So you had a spell at Grimsby.
Yeah.
And while you was at Grimsby, you helped train a certain England goalkeeper.
Yeah. That's my claim to fame.
Yeah.
I made him what he is.
Yeah.
I hope he's playing tonight, but I don't think he is.
He's on the bench. I think.
Yeah, I would have thought so. So obviously I did a season with the academy. Really loved it. Always kept in touch with Paul Hurst, who I played with at Rotherham. Good friend of mine, and he said, "Listen, I want to try and get a full-time goalkeeper coach in, and I want you to be it." So I took the plunge. I was working for the community at Rotherham, and they were great with me, and they said this opportunity you can't turn down. So I went to Grimsby. The first season, it was the first season I joined. I joined in July, on the 13th of July. I always remember to Dad's birthday, and he my goalkeeper at the time went down with meningitis. So I'd gone from not playing for 2 years to coming in, to being his coach, to then not having a number two there, and I ended up playing all pre-season. But this is not what I signed up for. But luckily, he got back fit before the start of the season. Thank goodness. We won at Wembley that season, so we got promoted back into the Football League, and then I said, listen, we need a number. We need another body. We need another goalkeeper in the building to push the number one, who was like the undisputed number one. And it was, listen, there's no budget. We can't do this. Can't do that. And I said, listen, I've got a lad from Man United. I've seen a little bit of him. I like his character. Very strong-minded. Very assured of his potential. I think we can get him in on loan. Can we do it? And luckily the club said, yeah, okay. So Dean came in. Dean Henderson came in, and from his first day, he was the life and soul of it. You could tell at 19-year-old that this lad had got something. He was unbelievable in training. He had a fantastic work ethic. Probably one of the best, obviously, work ethics that I've ever known. Did his gym work without asking. Man United were really, really good, but he couldn't fight his way in the team at the time. But eventually he did, and he played. I think he played 8 games for us. He kept 6 clean sheets, and the transfer window shut on the Wednesday, and he got called back to Man United on Thursday. So it really left us high and dry. And I think if he'd have stayed, we would have pushed for the playoffs. You could tell that he was absolutely fantastic. His spring, his agility, his confidence. He had all the attributes to be a top keeper.
I think that's clear with Sheffield United as well, isn't it, this season, that once they've changed keepers, he was such a pivotal part of the team organisation from the back, and obviously his performance helps the team play with confidence, that obviously losing him has made an impact in the performances this season.
Yeah, I think Aaron's probably coming for a little bit of criticism this season, but it's all because I think Aaron's a very, very good goalkeeper. But the big shoes to fill from Dean. Yeah. And you look at him now, and he's playing for Man United. It was always his dream. He always used to tell me, "I'm gonna be better than De Gea. I'm gonna I'm going to be the next Man United number one, the next England number one. And you think you've certainly got the desire. Whether you're going to be able to do that, he was 19 at the time. Whether you're going to be able to do that, or time will tell. But he's proved it, and that was the biggest thing about him. He always used to tell people how good he was, but once he got in the team, all that was it went away, because then he showed people how good he was. And he was really fantastic.
And I think some people interpret that as arrogance, don't they? Rather than it being confident in your own ability and driven and determined. Some people view it as arrogance, don't they, and use it against.
No, absolutely. And I think opposition players, I know, because I've been with players that have come across him as opposition, and that's how they see him.
Yeah.
But you've got to have a certain amount of that. You've got to have self-belief in yourself. You have to. Well, I don't think I did. I definitely didn't. I wish I had. But if any of you guys on there have got that and have got that determination, then that's a big plus. I
do think it's one of the good things that's come out of the modern game as well. Whereas they don't. Back in our day, they'd have bashed him, wouldn't they? They'd have knocked him. They'd have wanted to test his character. They'd have wanted to really make sure and see if he were driven. Whereas now we tend to nurture it, don't we, and respect it and try and help him along with that attitude.
Absolutely. I went to before he signed. I went to watch him against. He was playing for Stockport, so he would have been 18 at the time. And the very first thing he did, he came for a cross and dropped it, and they scored. But what I liked about him was that the next cross that came in, he came and took it. The next cross he came and took it. He didn't let that affect what happened afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's when you can see, I think, the true potential. If he'd have dropped that one, they'd have scored, and he'd have been a bit tentative and not bothered, then that you're gonna struggle. But he didn't have that. He didn't have that at all. If he made a mistake, he quickly got that to one side and moved on.
Yeah, I think it's got a couple of seasons ago when he let the goal through his legs against Liverpool for Sheffield United.
Yeah,
a couple of weeks after he was called up for England. So it's good for the younger ones to realise that one mistake doesn't.
No, exactly, and listen. We all make mistakes. As goalkeepers, everybody makes mistakes. The difference between us making a mistake and a centre midfielder making a mistake, or centre forward missing a goal, is 9 times out of 10 we concede a goal, and there's no getting away from that. And unfortunately, you can look at it two ways. Unfortunately, that's the position that you chose to be in. Now, I like that. I like that. If you did make a mistake, like say, you've got to brush it off. And I think keepers do get remembered for the mistakes. I look at David James, and he was the goalkeeper at the time when I broke my leg at Doncaster, and he made plenty of mistakes, but he had a mental strength of just coming through it and fighting through it, and you have to. I mean, brush it off, and you have to give the centre forward some stick when they miss chances.
You do, and I think as well, we're judged on a lot of things, but sometimes you can have games where you've probably not had many saves to make, but you're constantly concentrating, you're constantly organising, you're probably doing quite a lot of kicking, and at the end of the game, you're physically exhausted, and then you'll get the manager saying, "Nice, easy day for you there today," and you
think the times that I've come home after the game and done that. No, I hadn't done much, but absolutely shattered on the settee, just watching. It would have been Saturday night takeaway or something like that. I'd have been watching on the sofa. But yeah, the concentration levels are massive. Absolutely, really, really. That is the one thing, and the biggest thing for me when I speak to goalkeepers here to stay concentrated within the game is communication. And the more you talk, the more you organise. At the end of the day, it's our jobs when we're on that football pitch, keep the ball. You don't want to see the ball. the best way of doing that is by communicating. And it's probably the one thing in football that gets neglected. Everybody wants people to talk on the football pitch, but it's the one thing I think it's not really coached. It's told, do this, do that, do the other. But it's the one thing that can that can get you out of a sticky situation. And I do believe that. I'm looking at. I've got a young goalkeeper at the moment who's playing in the first team, a Swedish lad, Victor Johansson. He's fantastic. His English is second to none. He's been over in the country for quite a few years now, and he's such a lovely lad. But he's willing to learn. He takes everything on board. But he's the loudest keeper for his age that I've probably come across.
Yeah.
I know somebody's just put that. Victor is fantastic. Yeah, he is. He's really. I love him to bits. And that was the one thing that sort of like brought it to my attention that he could. He surprised me. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to stand here and say that we're in March. We played 13 games and kept quite a few clean sheets, but he works hard every single day. Every single day.
One of the things that we're trying, especially with the younger ones, is they don't know what to say, do they? They haven't got the experience knowing how to talk. So one of the things I'll say is try and have a little game of FIFA. So a lot of them will play FIFA. They've got the controller in their hands, so they've got their hands in kind of a good set position, and then they can talk to the players as though they're commentating as a game of FIFA, and just give them plenty of praise, reward them when they've done a good pass, and just give them that information. And that's one of the things I try and help them with.
Absolutely. Well, I've never played FIFA, so I wouldn't know that. But yeah, the smallest bit of information about somebody's on the right shoulder and step up and squeeze across or head it or kick it away, or just anything basic. That's that you'll learn as you get older, and you'll learn with the amount of games that you play. And you'll learn off other people what their communication is like. So it's not a case of 8, 9, 10, 14, 15-year-olds knowing all the tactics. It's not about that. It's about just keeping you switched on in games. And like I said, trying to keep the ball away from the goal as much as possible, because that's how we keep clean sheets.
And it's going and watching games, isn't it? It's going and watching live games, because obviously TV games, they don't focus on the goalkeepers unless they're under pressure. But it's going and watching live games, and maybe it's just watching the goalkeeper and listening to the goalkeeper.
Well, I always say to my scholars, it's been obviously very, very difficult because with the situation, it's been difficult because I've not been able to go from our first team bubble to the academy bubble this season, which has been horrendous, and it's just how it's been. It's been really, really unfortunate, and I feel that a couple of age groups as scholars that have missed out a lot of, but we can't help the situation as it is. But at clubs that I've been at, I've always encouraged the goalkeepers to go and sit or stand or behind the goal on a first team game, because you're watching the keeper that you're probably working with, because you're integrated within that group, and then you're watching the opposition keeper. So you got 45 minutes with the one that you're working with, see how he works, and another 45 minutes with the keeper on the opposition, and you can sort of like look at each other, compare traits and techniques, and see from there. And a big part of our game and the way that we play and the way that the manager wants our keepers to be is to be aggressive and high starting positions. So when you're learning, have a look at that. Have a look at other goalkeepers' starting positions. See if they play deep. See if they play high. See if you can hear them. And how they keep occupied when the ball's at the other end of the pitch. Because I can guarantee that nobody will nobody will be stood on the edge of the 18-yard box with the hands on folder or anything like that. They'll always be following play. And I think for concentration levels, following play is a big thing as well.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day when the YTSs used to do the ball boying, I was always positioned behind the goal. I mean, I think that was just something that the club did, where they put the keepers behind the goal for that reason. So you could learn from the keepers, but also there were times I had the keeper's cap in my pocket and I was running off going to get and fill the water bottles up and whatever. But I think that the main point of it was to learn from the first team keeper and watch him in the games.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's a big part.
So you mentioned obviously the difficulties this season with not being able to access all the keepers. So your role at Rotherham now is do you set all the syllabus up for them? Is it what you work on? Does that work all the way down?
It does. Syllabuses work really well with academy, really well, because with your topics, you can center around it. However, the only downside to a topic is the downside to a syllabus is it's very difficult to move on if you don't think you've fully explored every avenue of the syllabus. I think as well, every game's different, and you always want to touch base with if it's a mistake, or the keepers will always ask you questions. And it's good if something's happened in that game. It's good to put some sessions on during that week if a mistake's been made, or if a manager's criticising the keeper for certain aspects of his game. You have to do that. So syllabus is okay. I think at pro level it's different. I don't work to a syllabus at pro level. I do obviously with my analysis of the opposition, we will work to the opposition's strengths.
Yeah.
Like we our next game back is Millwall. Millwall, to a certain degree, it'll be direct. They are physical from set pieces, so we'll do a lot of work in crowded areas where the keeper's got to come and take high balls through bodies physically. So that's how I like to work. I like to see what the opposition do and then modify sessions to go around that. I also conscious of the fact that we've got really good coaches. Richie Barker and Matt Hamshaw are fantastic coaches at the club, and I know what they're going to do on a day-to-day basis. For example, yesterday in training, there was a lot of counter-attacking drills, so I tailored my session into 1v1 situations, because I knew that they would then get some 1v1s during that counter-attacking drill.
Yeah.
So I have to work on that. So that's about being flexible. So as a coach, you've got to be flexible. As a coach, working with different managers, I work with trying to think off the top of my head, 4 managers at Grimsby. I work with 2 managers at Lincoln. One, the Cowley Bullers at Lincoln. Lincoln was stereotypically a direct team, not really looking to get it out to fullbacks and to centre halves. They then left to go to Huddersfield, and Mike Appleton came in, and he was very much playing out. So I have to then tailor my sessions from direct to short passing. He didn't want any kicking over the halfway line, basically, unless an absolute necessity. So I have to make sure that my goalkeepers are confident in playing out from the back. Rotherham, we don't do that, so I don't do them sessions anymore. I still like them to be comfortable if they're receiving back passes, obviously, but it's more tailored to the long kicking, not direct, but and hitting specific areas.
Yeah. So match day then.
Flexible.
Match days. Do you set the warm up drill, or is it the starting keeper who do they set it?
I give a little bit of ownership back to the keeper. So I've worked with keepers that said, no, you listen, for me to take it, you put on whatever, because I will always do. If I'm taking a session, I know what I want to cover, because I know what I felt that I needed to get ready to go into a game.
Yeah.
Victor has a specific warm up, but there's no real difference. No real difference. Jamal's, again, nothing. I've had to extend Jamal's warm up because I didn't think it was long enough. I worked with one keeper at Grimsby that I gave the ownership to him, and I definitely didn't like his session warm up, and I totally took that away from him. So I didn't think it was enough to get him ready to go into a football league game. So I'll give them ownership, but if I don't think it's right, I'll take that back off them.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I feel I know what I've done during the week, and Saturdays should take care of themselves realistically. But if I don't think the warm up's right, and I don't think it's at a tempo, and I don't think it's mentally stimulating, physically stimulating enough, then I'll take it back off.
Yeah. Did you find that more with the younger goalkeepers then, rather than the more experienced senior ones?
In what aspect? What do you mean? Take it off the younger ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or does some older ones brought bad habits in? Or
Yeah. I totally agree with that, and then it's difficult to get it out of at an older age. Younger ones like Victor, when he first came into the team, I said to him, that's and he was a little bit like myself, because I always like to do a lot, but I thought for his age that he was doing too much. So we brought that down a little bit, and he wanted to rush through things.
Yeah.
Whereas I tried to space it out a little bit more, and he feels better with it now. There was a point in the season where he played quite a few games on the spin. I think we went to, and we had a lot of travelling. We went to Bournemouth away on the Wednesday night, and then we went to Norwich away on the Saturday. So we're on the coach a lot, and I cut his kicking down dramatically, because I just felt it needed to happen. And again, he's fine by that, and he understood the reasons why, and I think he's doing fine. I think he's, like I said, he's having a good season.
Yeah, I think it's surprising as well how much kicking actually does take out of you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if like we said earlier, you can play a game and probably not make many saves, but if they're shooting off target all the time and you're doing a lot of kicking, it's really physically draining, isn't it?
But it just depends what kind of philosophy your club or your manager's got. So ultimately, yes, for us, kicking does take a lot out of you. Other clubs, it's not, because it's just simply playing out.
Yeah.
I think you have to be comfortable doing that. However, I've always thought make the mistakes in that half of the pitch, not in. And I saw a goal. I think Charlton conceded a goal at the weekend from a goal kick, and Ben Amos passed it out to his centre half, who was 4 yards away. He waited and then tried to pass it back to him, and Ben had made another angle to receive, like told to receive, and he wasn't on the same wavelength. He left it short, and he scored.
Yeah.
Now, that I'd like to think that would never happen, because we never play short goal kicks, because we want the ball. We want the ball in the opposition half.
Yeah. So talking about the modern day goalkeeping, because obviously goalkeeping's evolved massively, hasn't it, over 10, 15 years. So what are you looking for now then in the modern day goalkeeper?
Athleticism. I think that's a big part now. I think it's gone. Football has changed. Dean was very slender, but his athletic, his power to his frame was. I mean, his physique was unbelievable, and his power that he could get for taking crosses and to lash lateral dives were fantastic. Quick feet as well. I think I'll look at Victor. Victor's not very big. I think Victor's probably 6 foot. They'll say that he's taller than that. But he's not. But what he loses in height, he more than makes up in his feet work. So again, to you guys on here, shifting your feet through cones might feel a little bit boring at times. However, they're massively, massively important, because I find that keepers that come in at academy level and also at pro level as young pros, they're very, very sloppy with the feet and the movement. And I am a big advocate for moving your feet, because your feet can get you out of danger. Your feet, if you can move your feet really quickly, doesn't matter how tall you are. You can be 6'6", or 6 foot, or 5'11". You know, you can still make the ground up. And if you're athletic, on top of that as well, it certainly helps.
I think as the game's going, it's getting quicker and quicker and quicker, isn't it? And because of that, we need to get quicker. And you see so many goals going on TV where the keeper's not being able to move, and when you look at the feet, they've got 1 foot slightly off the floor, so obviously they've not got that foot on the floor, so they can able to push off and make.
Yeah, and that's all from feet work. Like we will do a lot of drills. I like to work around an 18-yard box. I do like to do that, and it's not the stereotypical standing goal. We'll take some shots at you, and you don't have to move. We'll just hit you all the time. There's a time and a place for that, but that's gone way out of the game. However, if you have, I like to do a lot of in possession to out of possession. So receiving the ball, playing out, and I know we don't do that, like I said, but it gets your movements right. But you've got to be comfortable doing that, and just shifting around your goal, all different depths, working on depths, but moving your feet really, really quickly.
And I think it shows as well that now within the game that we're actually encouraged to drop back sometimes. So we was always encouraged to get down the line, weren't we? Now with the angle, whereas now, because how the faster game's going, we're encouraged to drop back sometimes to give ourselves that reaction time to be able to make the saves.
Yeah, 100%. I would have always been 4.5 yards in a shooting drill, 4.5 yards out. I actually now coach my goalkeepers to be deeper. But to be deeper, you have to be quick. You have to be quick with your feet work. You have to be dynamic with your dives. But I've got 3 first team goalkeepers. I've got Victor, I've got Jamal, and I've got Josh Vickers. Josh Vickers I had at Lincoln, who I think is excellent. 25-year-old, who's really, really good. Victor, again, for his age, is really good. Them 2 keepers play really deep. I like them playing deep because they move the feet really quickly. Jamal's come through Chelsea, and I spoke to Darren Ward at Sheffield United, and he said that he will always play advanced. So he plays really, really high. Because of his frame, he likes to play really, really high. So I basically got 2 extremes. I've got 2 lads that play deep when defending the goal from 18, 20 yards out. And I've got Jamal who plays really high. And if me personally as a coach, I would go with the ones that play deeper. Because, but like I said, they have to be quick, and the 2 lads are really, really quick, quick. Where Jamal relies on his size and his reach, basically.
Is that Jamal Blackman? He was at loan at Sheffield United, weren't he? Yeah.
So yeah, two different styles.
Yeah,
2 different styles out of the 3 keepers that I've got.
Okay, I mean, I could talk to you all night, but I think we should open it up for some questions off off the students. So, anyone's got any questions, you can either stick them in the chat, or you can raise your hand if you want to ask any questions.
What have we got?
Anybody got any? Are they all going quiet tonight? Any Rotherham fans?
Everybody wants to get off to watch England game.
They might do.
Yeah, is that go on? Is that I've got Becky's iPad here. Just speak up. I think you're on mute.
Just saying, you had a lot to do with us at Durnan District. That's Denver. Denver Brown. Do you remember Denver Brown?
Yeah.
Brown?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to find. I can't find it. But yeah, there's some message. Yeah, I've got it now.
You got it.
Yeah, well, I like to say I like to do I like to do a lot with it within the community. I've got Victor's fantastic. We came to your training day, so yeah. Do you think we will stay up? Absolutely, yeah. I think this is just obviously for the Rotherham fans. I think it was the way that we play, the way that the manager sets our lads up. We've got a fantastic group. We play Bristol City, and this would probably go over your guys' heads, but we play Bristol City on Saturday, and the amount of work rate that the players put in is unbelievable. It really is. We've got an international break now, so we trained all week. We're off tomorrow, off Saturday, and back in on Sunday. And the guys' distances, like statistic and data that they put in now at the end of the season, or towards the end of the season, is second to none. And I think the team spirit that we've got here will definitely get us across the line. Like I said, they're a great bunch of guys to work with. And like I said, he's a fantastic. I loved it. I wouldn't have left Lincoln, so I really liked it there. But the opportunity for me to come back to Rotherham, I couldn't, and I didn't want to turn down because the opportunity I didn't think had come round again. So like I said, I wanted to do that. So and I only did that because I knew there's a good group of staff and there was a good group of players.
Okay, good, brilliant.
We'll definitely do that. I've got my sister-in-law staying here, but I bet it's my brother saying, "Who was better, you or your brother?" Yeah. The thing is, I had more dedication than my brother. I put a lot more work into it. So if our Freddie's listening to this now, which he probably is, get some work done. Get some work done and dedicate yourself to football. Dedicate yourself to being a goalkeeper as well as your schoolwork as well. You can do both. You can definitely do both.
Good. He is starting back, I believe. So we'll give you regular updates. Good. Any more questions?
Anybody else? Speak up rather than typing if you've got any more. What do you think's important when you're playing football? What do you think's important? Do you think it's about tactics? Do you think it's about technical? Do you think it's about the social? We talked about the four corners, but do you think there's anything else that comes into it as well?
Enjoyment.
Anybody shout out? Do you look after yourselves off the football pitch? Do you eat well? Do you drink well? Yeah, no. And when I say eat well, I don't mean McDonald's all the time. I think there's a lot of emphasis, definitely at pro level, and it should be on nutrition and hydration, to the point where our sports science has taken all electrolyte drinks off them, so and sugary drinks off them. it is purely now on the training ground water only. I put here about keeping hydrated all the way through, whether that's at school, at home, and obviously definitely while you're training. And I know it's cool to have a bottle of Lucozade or a bottle of iPro or Monster, called Monster or something like that, but it's just full of sugar. And for me, water is the best thing, and it helps your concentration levels as well to keep hydrated. So, and I probably sound like a school teacher here, don't I? Telling what you shouldn't do. But definitely eating the right stuff and drinking the right stuff is really, really important to your well-being, because ultimately, if you guys want to become footballers, and it's very, very difficult. I'm not going to say here that everybody will live the dream, because they won't. But whatever you do, just commit to it. Commit to what everything in life, and look after yourself. Look after yourself, and thank your parents and grandparents and people that take you to training and games. Thank them, because that's a big part. If you haven't got that, then it's very, very difficult. Very difficult.
Brilliant. I mean, I think nearly all the guests have talked about nutrition and now how beneficial it is, especially for concentration, and obviously having a sugary drink just before training or just before the games, how you're buzzing for the first 10 minutes, but then your concentration just drops as your sugar levels drop.
Yeah, because exactly. So if you've hydrated on the morning of a game all the way through, you might need to go to the toilet a few times, but if you've done that, your hydration levels are up. You shouldn't need those sugary drinks, and they're no good for anybody. So I've got one here. I've got a mindset. Something that Kerry's just said about mindset. Yeah, it's massively important. Like I say, you're not in the game. Sometimes you might not be in the game for 89 minutes, and you have to make that match-winning save in the last minute. But also the mindset to prepare yourself for games, prepare yourself for training. And like I said right at the beginning, every day is a learning day. Every time you go to training, every time you got to training before, every day is a learning day. And if you can take that one little bit of information away and think about it, and then bring it to the next game or your next training session, then fantastic. That's massively important.
And we
Jada says, who's the quickest centre forward you've played against? Sorry, might not working. Quickest centre forward. Well, I once played against Sheffield Wednesday for Doncaster, and they had a centre forward that nobody really knew about. He'd just come on loan from Southampton, a lad called Kenvin Jones, and the ball went over the top, and I thought I could outrun him, and I quickly realised that I couldn't. So then he beat me to the ball. So that's happened to me twice. He went round me and scored, and the other time I tried to do that was again for Doncaster, and I ended up with his knee in me jaw and broke the jaw, so I've got a metal bar in here. So that's another thing with injuries, about coming back stronger.
One of the things
everybody will get injuries.
Yeah, one of the things we talk about as well is you never know who's watching you. You never know who's watching you in training. You never know who's watching you in games. You never know who's watching you walking from the car to the game. If it's a scout and they see that you're probably not committed as you get out of the car and walk into the game, they probably won't even stop and watch the game. So I think we need to be aware all the time that we've got eyes on us.
Yeah, well, again, experience of that. I was playing for Chapeltown Athletic against Romarsh, St Joseph's, and there was a scout there from Leeds United, like I said, and I went on trial at Leeds. So yeah, I didn't know that was going to happen. I think I was 15 at the time when that happened. I didn't know that was happening. About presentation as well. I keep banging on to my son. My son's now nearly 19. I keep saying to him about presentation and how you look after yourself and how you present yourself. I once had a manager that would be actively looking at your car when you drove in, if it was clean, if it was tidy inside, because he thought if you was a slob away from the pitch, then you brought that onto the pitch, and that was the sort of like the dedication. And he looked at fine things like that. So yeah, about like you know, the way you present yourself, and like I say, you never know.
Okay, brilliant. I think that covers everything. So I've really enjoyed. I could listen to you all night, by the way. So I think.
No. I think these ones will go watch England game.
Yeah, they will. So we'll just wind that up then. So thanks a lot, Andy. Really love that. Thanks for joining us. That's the end of the lockdown program. Thank goodness for that. All right, we're back on the grass next week. One of the things that we've rang alongside the Zoom programs is also we've been doing a motivational chat, and I think a lot of you have been in the motivational chat. So we did that over WhatsApp, and that was not just to help the keepers; it was to help everybody, because obviously it's been a very difficult time over the last 3 months. So it was about just trying to help people, get them out, get them exercising, and we've had some amazing results. I initially was only going to give one prize, but I'm actually going to give 3 prizes out because of the stories that I've got back. And they're not all students, because I think it's been important as well that we've helped the parents, because it's not also been difficult for the parents, but it's also been difficult for people's brothers and sisters and grandparents and everything. So the first prize is going to go to a student, which if anybody's on the group chat, you'll probably already guess who it is. And that's Martin Hill. All right. Martin has been going for the run nearly every single morning. I've been getting a message off him at 7:30 on a morning that he's been out and done a run. And not only has he done a run, he's probably come home as well. He's been doing leg sessions, he's been doing Zoom sessions, and he's been consistent. He's not just done it for a couple of weeks. He's done it every week, all through the three months. And I think from him doing it and regularly posting and everybody seeing it as well, I think that's helped other people keep going. Because I think sometimes some of you think, oh, I can't really be bothered today. But then when you see, hang on a minute, Martin's got up and he's done his run and there's snow outside, that means I'm going to go and do something. So Martin, brilliant. So you'll be having a prize to pick up next week. The second one is a parent. This parent set himself a goal each month and he's been out walking and he's increased his target each month. This month is going to smash 250 miles. He'll have walked this month. And he's also lost over a stone in weight, which I'm sure he feels better for that. And I'm really proud of him for doing it. And he's another one who's been consistent. He's been messaging me every day, keeping me up to date, giving me a weather report as well, letting me know what the weather's been like before I've gone out on my walk. Okay. And the second one is a sister. And she's not kept me up to date every day. She's only kept us up to date once a week. And that's Megan, who's Jacob's sister. And she's also lost 12 pounds. And she's got into training that much that she's actually joined a boot camp with her mum. And now she's going to be training 3 times a week, keeping herself fit. And that is down to the motivational site while she's done that. She's been seeing everybody posting. I've asked her to keep posting there. And because she's known that she's had to post, she's made sure she's gone out and had an exercise that she can post on. So 3 people, brilliant. You will all have a prize to pick up at the sessions next week. And everybody else, you've done amazing as well. You've kept me motivated. All right. You've kept me inspired throughout the lockdown. And you've made sure that we're all here and we're all going to be there next week and we're all going to be working hard again. So thank you, everybody. And I'll finish waffling and we'll get settled and we'll get watching the England game. So thanks a lot. I'll see everybody next week. And thank you, Andy.
Well done, everybody. Good luck. Good luck with everything that you do. Really mean that. Really mean that.
Cheers, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers. No
Thank
problem.
you.
Anytime. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Andy.
No problem. Anytime.